Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of What's New in the Blue Advisors Edition. Today, we're going to be talking about preparing your members for testing. For those of you who are new, what is a cluster exam? These are standardized, industry-validated tests, 100 questions. Your members will get 100 minutes at district and SCDC and 90 at ICDC. District testing is virtual. State testing and international testing is in person. The exams account for 33% of your members' overall scores, and they are produced by MBA Research and Curriculum Center. So there are seven of them. They are Business Administration Core, which is the base cluster exam, if you will. It's the test that all of the principal events will take, all five principals. And then business management and administration, entrepreneurship, finance, hospitality and tourism, marketing, personal financial literacy are one part that core, one part specific to that cluster. The anatomy of the question, what is the type or how is the question produced, written? What's this, what are the members going to see? So like I said before, they're all multiple choice. They're all A through D multiple choice. No true false, no negative questions, which the following is not, which is true except, nothing like that. Likewise, no all of the above or none of the above. No definition questions or vocab questions. Um, Most of the problem was going to be found in the STEM. Um, Not in the alternatives. There are only one right answer, three possible uh, options or plausible options. So, like I said before, no vocab, no definitions. The idea here is not memorization or recall. The idea here is to evaluate that higher order thinking domain, critical thinking skills. Um, you know, how a student's coming to the answer. Just as important as if they can remember what the right answer is. And you can see here, let's see if I can zoom in. Look at that. Um, Pretty self-contained STEM. Pretty short answers. Kind of fill in the blank. So the cluster exams are tied to performance indicators through instructional areas. And here, if you're looking at a blueprint, you'll see that these questions are not evenly distributed across all the clusters. I'm sorry, the instructional areas, and also see that they change ever so slightly as you increase the competitive level. Maybe not the business administration core, but you see a little more variance here on the business management and administration. And then in the finance, you see where it gets pretty specific. Financial analysis making up 25 to 30% of that whole test. So if you're wondering what's the red, what's the orange, what's the yellow, this is kind of my pathway to 85%. Why 85%? Average test score going to ICDC last year was 79%. So if you get an 85%, you're doing real good. I'd be surprised by you leaving ICDC without some sort of medal if you're scoring 85% on the SCDC cluster exam. PFL is kind of the weird one. The performance indicators for personal financial literacy actually come from Jumpstart, so things are just a little different looking there. Um, so it's not as easy to create that pathway. I mean, I guess it is. You just add, but not as interesting to see. So where are the winners spending their time? Where are they hanging out? Big three, DECA Plus, DECA Direct, and Answer Right. DECA Plus is the premium premium subscription platform produced by DECA for competitors. So it's one of the best tools because that's what it's designed to be. Um, there's practice tests there, performance indicator flip cards, vocabulary flip cards, each really helpful in their own way. One thing I appreciate about the practice tests over on DECA Plus is that there is the score by instructional area. That really gives the member some direction and where they need to prep next. Um, you can see my results here, 20%. Just click through it. But you can see it's lots of areas for improvement. Now, if I had an 8 out of 10 and 0 out of 2 in operations, I know I can focus my preparation in operations. Um, Vocabulary flip cards, like I said, there's no vocab questions, no definition questions, but would suck to be tripped up over a vocab misunderstanding or reference to a term that you don't an industry term that you don't understand. So vocabulary flip cards great for just understanding the language they may see. Deca Direct question of the day is a bell ringer. You'll hear this throughout the year from a lot of advisors, Deca folks alike. Just a good way to ensure that at least once a day they're getting a question, seeing a question. Answer Right online practice tests. These are my preferred location for test prep because I really believe in practicing in the environment you compete in. Answer Right is where we host our online test. So same UI that the members will see on test day. Um, I can't remember if there's 10 or 20, but there's a lot of tests over there, more content than you'll find elsewhere. Um, Here, the name of the game is building confidence. Building familiarity builds confidence, which prevents panic. Um, and then AI study guides, I think I'll talk about this a little bit later, but when you really need more, pretty good place in getting better. So what the winners are doing, they're mastering performance indicators. That might be a little dramatic, but they're focusing on performance indicators. They're taking performance indicators seriously, and they're not just saying, that's a lot. I think I'm just going to wing it. It's not a recipe for success. Deca Plus flashcards, like I said earlier, but whether they're vocab, whether they're performance indicators one, it's kind of a dry document just to read through all the performance indicators, lots of pages. The flashcards would be a more palatable way to understand what is expected out of you. If you can, tie performance indicators to unit exams. Just get them a little more familiar. If you're creating your own exams, tie them right in. And then having students track the performance indicators, again, just kind of gamifying it, just however you can. If they're testing on DECA Plus or Competition University, have them keep track, uh, like their high scores or something, that'll help gamify it a bit. Memorize the blueprint. Again, these M words are a little dramatic maybe, but the more you understand about the blueprint, what the test is made up of, um, you hyper focus on areas that apply to you, especially those ones that are heavier in weight, and you're going to see that test score go up. It's particularly, if you're focusing on areas of improvement. So, practice exams, this is really just the name of the game is getting repetitions. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Um, my wrestling coach used to say I wasn't allowed to use a move in a match until I did it 1,000 times in practice. Uh, I may have hit that number, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, time conditions for stress management. If they're even if you're doing a lot of practice tests and you're not timing yourself to know if you're really hitting that mark, that timed element come test day could be a little stress inducing. So when you're making practice exams, time them. Include a descriptive key, even if you're not tying them performance indicators, explain why for answers, why not for distractors, show how math answers are obtained, and cite your sources. Give your kids the treasure trove that you're pulling this information from so that they can go investigate themselves. and work with them to diagnose the weak areas. Sometimes it's just hard to admit what you're not good at. So sometimes you just need someone to give you that gentle hand and tell you, hey, uh, I know you could be better here. So how to best use these resources for yourselves? Every week there's a case study of the week posted by posted by DECA. And we're talking about testing right now, but case studies, each question kind of puts you in a little bit of a mini role play, kind of a scenario. So the more exposure to these scenarios that students have never come across, the more likely they are to have thought about that, worked through that, and maybe have an idea of what solutions should look like. So there's tons of articles for members and advisors alike here. If you've not spent much time up to this point, there's on DECA Direct, there's a massive backlog there for you, and more coming out every week. A great place to start your search is the Advisor Resource Center, DECA.com. I have here 549 easily searchable resources posted. I think that number is in the 600 now. Videos, articles, modules there. I mean, you can get into some pretty nuanced searches using the categories, subcategories, and all of the different filters on the left-hand side there. Um, and DECA Plus. Hang out on DECA Plus a little yourself. Go through some of those practice exams. Understand what your students are going through over there. Again, this platform is designed for competition prep. It should be the bread and butter for competition prep. Interactive practice, tests, case studies, and flashcards. Again, I'll use the G word again, gamify. Making it fun. That's the goal here. I mean, it's not like we're pulling out the Xbox controllers or Wii remotes and doing DECA prep, but it's a little bit closer than just some other ways. Some outside resources, like I did mention AI, so I'll start there. Great for when you've exhausted all resources and you got some motivated member who's begging for more. And you've got that one, you know what I'm talking about. They're there. They've gone through DECA Plus. They're pushing through Answer right now, and next week they're not going to have anything. AI study guides. I'll throw up an example of a prompt you can use, kind of using this information that I've talked about. Um, it's the strength here is that just dynamic. If you going question by question, and you don't understand why the answer was the answer, Deca, or I'm sorry, ChatGPT, it'll name it, explain it, and cite you a source, right there. Or you as a teacher, advisor, you can produce 100 questions, that way. Competition University, I think this is one of the strongest supplementary resources available to you. Um, Starting at $375 for 10 students and two advisors, it's not cheap, but you can get it through Shop Deca. Pre and post quizzes, you could produce quizzes at 25, 50, 75, 100 question increments. They allow you to test timed, untimed. And the best part, like DECA Plus, is they do give you that score by instructional area, which is really great for understanding what areas need improvement. Um, Another resource that came up recently is Cluster Max. I haven't had time to really dive into this platform and see if it's of decent quality, but I do see it getting discussed. Um, some advisors here in Michigan. I think I saw a reference on the DECA Reddit last week. So worth checking out. I would check out these resources before you hand them off to your students, but worth looking into. It sounds like it's made for DECA. So here's an example of me taking everything we've just talked about and putting it into a prompt, kind of explaining what the questions look like and giving it some reference points to go look. I said this in the student podcast, the state officers podcast, as well, and I should be more hesitant to recommend AI, but I have tested it. I think it's pretty solid. You can make that decision for yourself, but go ahead and take this prompt, give it to it, something like it, and yeah, see what it comes up with. I mean, it's pretty clear to me that it's been trained on our resources. Um, Questions look, sound exactly like the cluster exams as far as I can tell. A little answer key prompt as well, just for producing a quality answer key. You tell DECA to, or I'm sorry, you tell ChatGPT to cite its sources and something, give you like a nice little link. But um, yeah, I think this is a pretty good comprehensive way to create that AI practice test and key. And once you get the results, you could also ask ChatGPT to create a study guide for yourself, or for your students, based on those results, using the areas that I need to improve on. Um, Generate me a study guide that'll help me increase my score 10 points. It'll come up with something, and something is better than nothing. So if you're running low on resources, get to AI. I do want to say, I skipped this in the beginning. If you would like, scan that QR code, and you'll see my source for much of this information. It's coming straight from MBA Research and Curriculum Center. They have a nice one pager on there with a lot of information about how they've come up with the philosophy of this test. So take a minute, read through that, and yeah. So feel free if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll be watching this comment section for a bit, answering any questions that do pop up. Or you can always email me right here, mconley6@emich.edu, which probably be preferred. Definitely a little faster, but whatever works for you. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in a few weeks.